the most terrifying punishments during the Persian Empire. The death penalty was the ultimate punishment for centuries. However, its original applications included far more than murder. Selling adulterated beer could cost a brewer his life under the Babylonian ruler, King Hammurabi. In the 18th century BC, the ultimate punishment was authorized by ancient Persian law for anyone who accidentally sat on the emperor's throne. Let's look at some horrific punishments during the Persian Empire. Scaphism. First on the list is Scaphism. Scaphism, also known as the boat, was a gruesome and torturous form of capital punishment practiced in ancient Persia. While historical accounts of a Scaphism exist, it is important to note that historians disagree the accuracy and integrity of these accounts. Plutarch, an ancient Greek historian, described Scaphism in his biography of Artaxerxes II, a Persian king. The condemned person was stripped naked and placed in two hollowed-out tree trunks, or boats, exposing only their heads, hands, and feet. After that, the victim was force-fed milk and honey to induce diarrhea, and more honey was applied to exposed body parts to attract insects. The boats were then dumped in a body of stagnant water, such as a pond or marsh, and the victim was left to suffer in the elements. Impalement. Impalement is a cruel and torturous method of execution used by many cultures and societies throughout history, including the ancient Persian Empire. It entails forcing a sharp stake or pole through a person's body, usually in the way that causes severe injury but not immediate death. This method of execution was intended to cause extreme pain and suffering, while also acting as a public deterrent to others. For the execution, a wooden stake or pole, often sharpened at one end, was prepared. Depending on the intended method of impalement, the stake could be of varying length and thicknesses. To prevent movement, the victim was usually bound or otherwise restrained. The stake was then positioned so that it penetrated the victim's body. Depending on the method used, the entry point could be through the anus, the abdomen, the chest, or other body parts. The victim was forcibly impaled onto the stake, either by being pushed down onto it, lifting the stake up into the victim, or using other means of force. The stake would enter the body and cause severe internal injuries. Flaying. Flaying, also known as skinning, was a particularly brutal and painful method of torture and execution in which the skin was removed from a living person's body. Flaying has been documented throughout histories in various cultures, and it was reported used as a form of punishment in the ancient Persian Empire. The victim was typically restrained by being tied to a post or other means to prevent them from moving or escaping during the flaying process. Sharp instruments like knives, blades, or specially designed tools were then used to carefully cut and peel the victim's skin away from their body. The executioner would frequently begin at a specific location, such as the hands, feet, or face, and work their way across the body, removing as much skin as possible. The goal was to cause the victim the most pain and suffering while keeping him alive for as long as possible. Crucifixion. Crucifixion was an ancient form of execution that involved nailing or tying a person to a wooden cross or stake and leaving them to die gradually from exposure, asphyxiation, and other factors. It was a visible and public form of punishment meant to deter others from committing crimes or rebelling against authority. Various civilizations throughout history, including the ancient Persian Empire, the Roman Empire, and others, used crucifixion. The victim was typically stripped naked and tied or nailed to a wooden structure during the crucifixion. This structure could take many shapes, including the traditional T-shaped cross, an X-shaped cross, also known as St. Andrew's cross, or a simple upright stake. The most common method was to nail the victim's hands and feet to the cross, though ropes were sometimes used to bind the limbs. Beheading. Next up we have beheading. Beheading, also known as decapitation, is a method of execution in which a person's head is severed from their body. Throughout history, various cultures and civilizations, including the ancient Persian Empire, have used beheading as a form of capital punishment. Compared to other forms of punishment used in the past, it was often regarded as a quick and relatively humane method of execution. Beheading typically entailed severing the neck and spinal cord with a sharp instrument, such as a sword, axe, or guillotine. The executioner would aim to deliver a single powerful strike to the back of the neck, separating the head from the body quickly and cleanly. In some cases, multiple strikes may be required, especially if the executioner lacked skill or precision. Blinding. Blinding was used as a form of punishment in many ancient cultures, including the Persian Empire. It neutralized political opponents, prisoners of war, or individuals deemed as a threat to the ruler of the state. Blinding was intended to incapacitate and render a person dependent on others for assistance, while also sparing their life by removing their ability to see. Blinding was sometimes used in the context of dynastic struggles and powerful dynamics within the royal family in the Persian Empire. A king, for example, may order the blinding of a rival claimant to the throne or a rebellious family member to prevent them from threatening their rule. Blinding could also be used to punish specific crimes or offenses and captured enemies or conquered populations. Mutilation. Mutilation, or the deliberate disfigurement or removal of body parts, was another form of punishment practiced in ancient cultures, such as the Persian Empire. Mutilation was used to exact retribution, enforce justice, and maintain social order. It also served as a visible and long-lasting reminder of the ramifications of certain actions and deterred to others. Mutilation of limbs such as hands, feet, or fingers was used as a punishment for certain crimes, such as theft or rebellion. Amputation may result in permanent physical disabilities, limiting a person's ability to work or perform daily tasks. Another form of mutilation used as a punishment was the removal of the nose or ears. This type of disfigurement was especially noticeable and could carry a social stigma because it permanently identified the individual as a wrongdoer. Forced labor. Forced labor was a method of obtaining labor for large-scale construction projects, agricultural work, and other tasks in the ancient Persian Empire and many other civilizations. Forced labor was typically imposed on conquered populations, prisoners of war, and individuals deemed in debt or who had committed crimes. Forcible labor was important to the Persian Empire's administrative and economic systems. The empire was known for its large-scale construction projects, including palaces, roads, canals, and fortifications. These projects necessitated a significant amount of labor and resources, and forced labor was one of the methods by which the empire was able to mobilize the workforce required to complete such large-scale projects. Exile. Exile was a form of punishment used in the ancient Persian Empire and many other cultures and civilizations throughout history. It entailed removing a person from their community or homeland and forcing them to live in a distant or foreign location. Exile was frequently used as a punishment for political infractions, crimes, or perceived threats to the ruling authority. Exile could be used to neutralize political rivals or individuals seen as posing a challenge to the ruler's authority. In the Persian Empire, exile could be used to remove members of the royal family or high-ranking officials who were involved in plots, conspiracies, or rebellions from positions of power and influence. Individuals who had committed serious crimes or were viewed as dangerous or undesirable members of society could also be exiled. Execution by burning. Execution by burning, also known as immolation, is a type of capital punishment in which a person is burned to death. Throughout history, various cultures and civilizations, including the ancient Persian Empire, have used this method of execution to administer justice, enforce religious or social norms, and make a public example of the condemned. Execution by burning was considered one of the most severe forms of punishment in the Persian Empire and was typically reserved for crimes considered particularly heinous or sacrilegious. It was thought that fire destroyed the physical body and purified or cleansed the soul. The method of execution by burning could take various forms. The condemned person was sometimes tied to a stake or a wooden structure and set ablaze. In other cases, the person was placed in a confined space, such as a furnace or pit, and ignited. Thank you for stopping by to watch. Please subscribe to the channel and post your video recommendations in the comments area if you want us to do more films like this.